This video will analyze the guitar and bass parts that appear in the verses and choruses of the song. A tab sheet of the guitar parts will briefly be displayed after their respective analysis. A demo of the verses will be featured about halfway through the video. A demo of the choruses will close out the video. The tuning used in this video and on the record is E-flat and 440 wavelength calibration. If you're unsure how to tune the E-flat, please watch the video E-flat tuning and enharmonic notes for guitar and bass by Marc Wilson. The verses are going to follow a 2-measure long riff pattern that gets played 4 times in sequence. That's 8 total measures. We're going to start out the first measure by picking the low open E string downwards on 1 and letting it ring out as an 8th note. On the end beat after 1, we're going to place the middle finger on the low E string at the 2nd fret and pick that note upwards. This is an 8th note tied to another 8th note on 2. It's going to ring out for a quarter of the measure. On the end beat after 2, we're going to pick the open A string upwards. This is an 8th note tied to a quarter note on 3. It's ringing out for 3/8 of the measure. So with a 4-count lead in, let's do what we have for the first measure so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3. Now to finish up the first measure, we're going to play 4 16th notes counted 4 and a. We're going to place the middle finger back on the A string to 2nd fret. We're going to pick this down on 4. On the E beat, we're going to pull off to the open A string. On the AND beat, we're going to pick the open E string down. And on the beat, the final 16th note of the measure, we're going to go with the middle finger to the E string to 2nd fret and pick this note up. Okay, this last note is tied to a half note which sustains out through the first half of the next measure. So with the 4-count lead in, let's do the first measure and a half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and a 1, 2. The middle finger should still be on the E string at the 2nd fret, and this note should still be ringing out through the first half of the second measure. To finish up the second measure, we're going to play 4 more notes. On 3, we're going to pick this note again down and let it ring out as a 16th note. On the E beat right after 3, we're going to pick the open E string upwards. Okay, this is a dotted 8th note which rings out for 3/16 of the measure. On 4, we're going to pick that open E string downwards again, but this time it rings out as a 16th note. And to finish up the measure, we're going to place the first finger on the low E string at the 1st fret and pick this up. Okay, this is the E beat, and what this is another dotted 8th note that rings out for 3/16 of the measure. So with the 4-count lead in, let's run through the first 2 measures in sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and a 1, 2, 3 E, 4 E. Let's run through all 8 measures in sequence just one time. I won't count aloud as I play. I'm just going to give you the 4-count lead in. 1, 2, 3, 4. This part can be plugged into the main solo that begins at 2 minutes and 29 seconds since it's the same supporting part that the bass will be playing. Incorporating the second guitar here is easy since it's just a matter of plugging in a part that was established earlier in the verses. This is the verse on the guitars. The first verse is going to be at 45 seconds and the second verse will be at 1 minute and 31 seconds. This rhythm will also appear at 2 minutes and 29 seconds as part of the guitar solo. We've got two measures here, and we're just going to play these two measures 4 times in sequence, as indicated by the repeat sign at the beginning of the first measure and at the end of the second measure highlighted in yellow. The bass is going to double the guitar note for note, so the tab sheet will be the same. If using a pick, refer to the previous segment, pick the bass using the same count and picking pattern as the guitar. Here's a quick run through of the verses on bass. I'm not going to count aloud as I play, I'll just give you the 4 count lead in. 1, 2, 3, 4. The verses will appear twice in the song. The first appearance is at 45 seconds. The second will be at 1 minute and 31 seconds. This part will also appear for a third time at 2 minutes and 29 seconds as the supporting rhythm underneath the guitar solo. During the choruses, the guitar is going to follow a 2 measure long riff pattern that gets played 4 times in sequence, equaling 8 total measures. We're going to start out by placing the first finger on the E, A, and D strings at the 2nd fret. Okay, we're barring those strings. Then we're going to place the third finger on the A string at the 4th fret and the pinky on the D string at the 4th fret. The first half of all these measures are going to be played exactly the same way. The second half of each measure is going to alternate between something else. So let's just look at the first half of the measures. On 1, we're going to pick this F-sharp 5 power chord down. And what we're going to do is pull off that 3rd and 4th finger to the 1st finger barring the A and D strings. Okay, these are 16th notes counted 1E, and we're not picking the E beat. That's sounded entirely by the left hand. On the AND beat after E, we're going to place the 3rd and 4th fingers back down where they were and pick this chord down. Okay, this is an 8th note. On 2, we have a 16th note rest. On the E beat after 2, we're going to pick this chord upwards, and what this is a dotted 8th note. It's going to ring out for 3/16 of the measure. So with the 4 count lead in, let's run through the first half of the measures one time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 E and 2 E. To finish up the second half of the first measure, we're going to start with 3. What we're going to do is lift up the 3rd and 4th fingers. Remember that the 1st finger is still barring the E, A, and D strings at the 2nd fret. We're going to pick this down on 3. It's going to ring out as a 16th note. And on the E beat after that, we're going to hammer on with the 3rd and 4th fingers back where they were to go back to the F-sharp 5 power chord. Okay, what we did here is we did exactly the opposite of what we did to start the measure. We pulled off to start the measure, now we're hammering on. Okay, so on the AND beat after that, we'll pick the power chord down and let it ring out as an 8th note. On 4, we have a 16th note rest. And on the E beat after 4, we're going to pick that F-sharp 5 power chord upwards. Okay, this is a dotted 8th note, which will ring out for the remaining 3/16 of the measure. So with the 4 count lead in, let's just play the first measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 E and 2 E, 3 and 4 E. To finish up the second half of the second measure, okay, we're already on the F sharp 5 power chord on the 3 beat. What we're going to do is play 4 16th notes counted 3 and with alternate picking. On the 4 beat, we're going to go to the open E5 power chord with a downstroke. This is a 16th note. And on the E beat right after that, we're going to go back to the F sharp 5 power chord and pick that up. This is a dotted 8th note which rings out for the remaining 3/16 of the measure. So with the 4 count lead in, let's just run through the second measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 E and 2 E, 3 and 4 E. Let's run through the first 4 measures in sequence just one time. I won't count this aloud as I play. I'm just going to give you the 4 count lead in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once we reach the 5th measure of the chorus, we're going to change up the riff pattern a little bit. This will make more sense to you when you see the tab sheet at the end of this segment. What we're going to do is we're going to insert the second measure of the pattern in place of the 5th measure. In short, we're playing measure 2 twice in a row on the 5th and 6th pass. So really, once you see the tab sheet, you're going to be playing the 4th, 5th, and 6th measures exactly the same way. So what I'm going to do is I'll give you a 4 count lead in and play all 8 measures of the chorus one time, and I won't count aloud as I play. I'll just give you the 4 count lead in. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is all 8 measures on the guitar during the choruses. If you look at the 3rd and 4th measures, you're going to notice that on the line that divides them, there's a symbol, a diagonal line with a dot above it and below it. Located in this position, it means to play these 2 measures exactly like the previous 2 measures. You're going to notice that same symbol on the 6th measure as well. That just means to play the 6th measure like the previous measure. The bass is nearly going to double the guitar note for note using root notes, the same count, and the same picking pattern. If using a pick, refer to the previous segment and use the same approach. There will be one minor difference in the first quarter of each measure, but really, it will still be the same thing. The bass will just start out on a higher octave and work down in pitch, whereas the guitar stays in the same octave. Here's a quick look at that variation that will be applied to the bass on the guitar. The guitar is going to start out the first half of every measure in the chorus just like this. 1 E and 2 E. Okay, the bass is actually going to do the same thing, but slightly different. The guitar is working off of 3 notes, and it's basically going back and forth between one chord and another. The bass is going to start out with the 3rd finger on the D string at the 4th fret. That's the 1 beat. We'll pick that down and pull off to the 1st finger on the same string at the 2nd fret. That's the E beat. And on the AND beat, we're going to go down an octave to the F sharp note where the 1st finger is on the E string at the 2nd fret. These are actually the same notes that the guitar is playing. We're just going from a higher octave to a lower octave. The guitar is playing the same 3 notes. So here's what the bass is going to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and 2 E. Okay, the guitar. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and 2 E. I'm not going to count aloud as I play. I'm just going to give you the 4-count lead in. 1, 2, 3, 4. The chorus will appear twice in the song. The first appearance will be at 1 minute and 8 seconds. The second appearance will be at 1 minute and 54 seconds. This is all 8 measures on the bass during the chorus of the song. If you look in the upper right hand corner, you're going to notice a diagonal line with a dot above it and below it at the end of the third measure. That's actually on the line that divides the third and fourth measures. When that symbol is located in this position, it means to play these 2 measures exactly like the previous 2 measures. You're going to notice that same symbol in the middle of the 6th measure as well. That just means to play the 6th measure like the previous measure. In the 9th measure, at the end of the page, is just a blank measure, so ignore it. It don't mean anything.